Molly and I worked together for 10 years, but on a personal.
All right, today we've got to talk about Molly Qerim seemingly getting a little payback against Stephen A. Smith and ESPN on First Take. We're breaking down exactly what happened and why this moment has people looking back at the tension surrounding her exit. Because we all remember that Molly Qerim and Stephen A. Smith didn't exactly leave things on the smoothest note. When Molly's departure became public, Stephen A. was the one who addressed it and put the situation out in the open, saying that she had abruptly left. And the way he framed it made it sound like Molly's decision was the issue, which put a lot of attention directly on her. If you missed that moment or simply need a reminder of exactly what Stephen A. said, let's run that clip back. Take a look at what he had to say right here.
Last night, she abruptly resigned as the host of the show. And a lot of times, some of these things happen and it's just uncomfortable to see. The details, quite frankly, are none of y'all business. But it's not as if I know all the details. It was a contract negotiation that was going on. ESPN certainly did not want to lose her. But in the end, rather, she made it.
And at the time, Stephen A. Smith took plenty of criticism for the way he publicly revealed details about Molly Qerim's situation.
It's not as if I know all the details.
Hold on. What? Hold on.
Bro.
Hold on.
If that brother don't get on a prompter.
I'm not gonna the tone is crazy. Yes. Can we be honest here, bro? Her leaving, hey, like she's resigning, honestly cool. Let people wonder. Your tone and then you saying, you know, the details are none of y'all business. I don't even know. What? Hold on. You're just making it so much worse.
Hold on. Everybody relax.
My bad.
Relax.
Okay.
First off, let's pleasantries. Shout out to Molly.
Yeah.
Molly, one of the best in the business of what she's done, being on First Take the last 10 years. She's built up an absolute juggernaut. Shout out to Molly. Here's my thing, though. Don't tell us the details, then tell us you're not going to tell us the details. Like,
And then add on that, I don't know the
I don't know
details.
the
Like, what are you doing?
Report comes out the next morning. Instead of Molly showing up to work, she puts out an Instagram post. And in that Instagram post, you guys remember, one thing she didn't mention was anybody by name, including Stephen A. Smith. Now, I've left a show or two before, and trust me, you're gonna name some names when you leave that. Just think about Shannon Sharp when he left Undisputed. Goodness, it took about 10 minutes of all the names he dropped. That's my point. Molly didn't do that. So that lets you know already there's some friction behind the scenes. Okay, so they're reporting that it's supposed to be the end of the year. Molly, by action, says it's right now. Instead of I'm leaving now, I'm leaving right now. She made it immediate. And then Stephen A. Smith makes the statement. Now, interesting once again, see, peep all these differences, right? These contradictions in terms of how they usually move and how they're moving with Molly. Max Kellerman left. Stephen A. Smith didn't even show up for the last day. Remember that? Interesting. And we all know that typically they don't talk about talent when they're gone. They just say, thank you for your services and we wish you well. This is a little different for many reasons.
Molly Qerim eventually addressed the situation herself, making it clear that she wasn't comfortable with Stephen A. Smith and ESPN putting her personal information out publicly before she had a chance to speak for herself. And this was Molly's response when everything was unfolding at the time.
After much reflection, I've decided it's time to close this incredible chapter and step away from First Take. Hosting this show has been one of the greatest honors of my career. Every morning I had the privilege of sharing the desk with some of the most brilliant, passionate, and entertaining voices in sports, and with all of you, the best fans in the world. To be blunt, it came as a shock. I was not aware that this is something that she was contemplating doing. But in the end, she made her decision, and we have to move on as a show.
Molly Qerim had already called out Stephen A. Smith and ESPN publicly, and now it looks like her next career move has added another layer to the story. The article makes it clear that Molly Qerim is officially returning to television, but this time she's entering the boxing world after leaving ESPN's First Take. Her new role will be part of Zuffa Boxing's upcoming broadcast on Paramount+, giving her a completely different lane. But that isn't even the part that caught everybody's attention. According to the report, this move also puts Molly Qerim back alongside someone very familiar to longtime sports fans. She's reuniting with Max Kellerman, her former First Take co-host, which makes this comeback even more interesting. And honestly, that's why some people are looking at this like Molly got a little bit of payback. She could have taken her talents anywhere, but ending up alongside Max Kellerman definitely makes the situation feel more personal. Because when you remember how things played out with Max Kellerman at ESPN, followed by what happened with Molly Qerim, the connection is hard to ignore. So naturally, people are wondering whether this move sends a message to Stephen A. Smith and ESPN. And now we get to the part that everybody wants to hear, Stephen A. Smith's response. But before we get into that, make sure you hit that like button because it really helps support the channel. It also helps these videos reach more people through the algorithm. I genuinely appreciate everybody who takes a second to do that. Now let's see what Stephen A. had to say.
Molly and I worked together for 10 years. I love Molly. I didn't want her to leave. Listen, I think Shay Cornett is doing an outstanding job for us. She knows her sports backwards and forwards. She is the real deal. But on a personal level, I definitely miss Molly, as do a lot of us, because we're friends. And, she was great. And so, you look at the contribution that she made to the show, the relationships that she cultivated and what have you. We're number one all of these years. She was hosting when we were number one all of those years. So she made an incredible contribution to the success of the show. She is class personified.
So that was Stephen A's response, but honestly, it came across pretty polished and politically correct. At some point, you have to be honest about what really happened between Stephen A and Molly, because the way everything played out raised plenty of questions. Molly didn't exactly go out of her way to publicly thank the people at ESPN, and there certainly wasn't some lengthy message giving Stephen A. Smith special credit as her longtime partner on the show. Then you have Stephen A. going on his podcast and discussing her departure, describing it as an abrupt exit, even though that was information he didn't necessarily have to put out there. That's where the whole situation gets confusing, because you can't say it isn't your place to speak on somebody's business and then immediately explain what happened while making the other person look responsible for the situation. It just didn't come across as consistent. And like Marcellus Wiley has said when talking about these kinds of breakups, a lot of the separation happens privately long before the audience ever sees the final fallout. So clearly, there were things happening behind the scenes before Molly eventually walked away from ESPN. I've talked about that possibility in previous videos, and plenty of people told me I was reading too much into the situation. But eventually, Molly did leave ESPN, and the network apparently wasn't willing to make the changes she wanted. The criticism was that ESPN wanted her to take on roles she didn't want, while also trying to fit her into additional shows and responsibilities without giving her the value she believed she deserved. And considering how long she had been part of First Take, especially on the #1 show Stephen A has talked about, her decision to move on was significant. Now she's starting another chapter alongside Max Kellerman, and that choice definitely makes the whole situation more interesting. Whether you see the move as strategic or simply the next step in Molly Qerim's career, I want to know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you guys on the next one, and as always, peace.